We're now joined by Puseletso Mofokeng, who's a senior forecaster at the South African Weather Service. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Peter, and good evening to the viewers as well.
All right, first help us understand, Tropical Cyclone Freddy is now a tropical depression. What does that mean?
It simply means that it would have lost much of its energy, remembering that we categorized the tropical storms based on the winds. So the winds would have been quite low. I think that will be back to the initial stage. Remember that at one stage we had a tropical storm Freddy. So the winds were very much high at that point. I think they were about 180, 200 kilometers an hour. So they dropped quite dramatically earlier today. However, we've been monitoring the system throughout the day. What we are seeing is that the system is regaining the strength as it was predicted. The only perhaps factor that we are noticing is that it's now slower than what the model was pointing out earlier. So basically, even the landfall over Mozambique hasn't happened as yet. But we're expecting that overnight into tomorrow morning, that storm is going to make a landfall over Mozambique. So basically, the strong winds are already there, but we're expecting them to be much more tomorrow. So a lot of damage, damaging winds is expected by tomorrow morning and throughout the day. And that will be associated with heavy rain and widespread flooding. So that's what we're expecting. But as of what is to be expected over South Africa, I think only in the evening we will see the effect of this storm, only in the extreme eastern areas of Limpopo, more particularly in the Bembe district municipality, as well as Mopani, including the northern areas of Ehlanzeni. So that will be in Mpumalanga. So that will be just the beginning. On Friday, I think much of this storm will be necessarily impacting both provinces on Saturday. So we're expecting 100% chance of showers and thunder showers over those municipalities, the Vembe as well as Mopani. Otherwise, we also do expect the same over the extreme northeastern parts of Ehlanzeni. Otherwise, much of the other eastern areas of Limpopo and much of Mpumalanga, we're going for an 80% chance. Still, that doesn't mean we aren't expecting any extreme conditions. So what is good is that the South African Weather Service, together with the disaster management in Bembe, Mopani, as well as in KwaZulu-Natal, including those in Mpumalanga, we've been working together to work out the plan as to how are we going to assist the people when this storm has actually arrived.
All right, you're saying whilst it's slower, it is gaining strength. Does that suggest there's a potential for harm and maybe even damage in parts?
Most certainly, even with those lowest strength, it is still quite impactful. It can still claim lives. It can still damage homes. It can still, for instance, blow away or break or uproot trees. So that is still possible. But with the re-strengthening, that means that the scale at which these conditions that we are talking about are going to be a little bit much larger. So we're going to see, even the southern Mozambique, we're going to see a lot of flooding there. We're going to see a lot of damaging winds. It's not only even in Mozambique, we also have to include the eastern areas of Zimbabwe. So that will be tomorrow, basically. So tomorrow, including throughout the weekend, I think Zimbabwe will also be part of the impacted areas. However, even if we are saying that in other parts of South Africa, we're going to see less of the rainfall. In other words, here in Gauteng, 60 to 30% chance, the Northwest, 30% chance, Free State also 30% chance. That doesn't mean we are going to focus only on what the storm does. We're also going to look at any potential development of extreme thunderstorms in these low rainfall bands. So in this case, the public can be ascertained that indeed we are going to monitor all the storms and issue relevant warnings when it is necessary.
How long is this system likely to last for, and is there potential for another one to follow?
At this stage, we are seeing that once the system is closer to Limpopo, Mozambique border, it is going to remain there on Saturday, but the following day on Sunday, it's going to move slightly northwards to Zimbabwe, which is why I was saying Zimbabwe is going to be part of the impacts. Also, South Africa, throughout the weekend, we're going to have those rainfall amounts. I think the wind will slacken a bit once the storm is moving over land. So throughout the weekend, we can expect heavy rain, especially on those eastern areas of Limpopo and Mpumalanga, including Zimbabwe and Mozambique. So by Tuesday, I think the system would have fallen flat. However, we'll continue monitoring. It may re-strengthen. You know, this is the tropical cyclone. You remember around 2011 or so, there was that storm that actually moved over Malawi. So it actually moved over Malawi and came back to the seas and regained the strength and went back. But as of now, on Tuesday, we are expecting that this storm will actually have much of the rainfall subsiding.
And it is the season for these kinds of systems. Are we likely to see more in the coming weeks?
Already we're having another system just to the northeast of Madagascar. So there's another tropical cyclone. It is indeed a season. We normally expected the tropical cyclone season between the 15th of November each year to about the 30th of April every year. So it is still the season. In fact, we are still in La Nina, so the seas or the sea surface temperatures are still quite warm. So once that is supported also by light winds in the upper level, we then have these storms developing one after another. And in fact, I must point out that Freddy, it is the storm that actually developed in the region that is under the control of Australia. So that is why it's Freddy. The second system that developed is actually starting with E. I think it's Inalo or something like that. So the reason why the E comes after the F is because this other storm, the one that we're going to have to deal with over the weekend, is actually an adopted system. It's coming from another region into our region. So we're still going to see our F coming through as well, but I don't know when.
Okay, and that's where we'll leave it. Thanks so much indeed, but I think the word is to be cautious and vigilant over the next few days. Thanks for your time, Puseletso.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's Puseletso Mofokeng, who's a senior forecaster at the South African Weather Service, talking about this tropical storm, tropical system, now a depression, Freddy, which is on its way via Mozambique and will hit South Africa and then hits parts of Zimbabwe as well. So caution required.